Alrighty, and I think we're live, and I think we still don't have our intro jingle. We need to
Oh, sorry.
next time. Anyway, let's wait a little bit. See, Foxygen, should we be tweeting? I think so. This is like going out to Twitter as well, so maybe we can just retweet the stream or something like that. Let's see. Okay, welcome. If you're tuning in, hello. Well, welcome back to the Holiday Hackdays. Let us know in the chat where you are tuning in from. My name is Thor. I'm based out of Singapore. And then, John, where are you at the moment?
I am in Melbourne, Australia. So probably the other side of the world or both of us are probably the other side of the world for most of the people joining in. Although I guess America would still be well and truly asleep.
Yeah, so that's, I think US West is like 7 p.m., so maybe they are all out for dinner. And then, I guess US East is like 9 p.m. So, yeah, who knows
US
what
East
they are
is
doing.
offline. It's all down at the moment. Everyone is
Are
offline.
they?
Do you know that US East is? Did you see all the kerfuffle?
Yeah, what was that all about?
So I think all of AWS US East was down for a little bit, or is maybe still down, and the world has stopped.
Well, so I guess they are getting an early holiday. That's nice for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we maybe review what we did yesterday? And then we can jump in and look at our to-do list. If you're wondering, if you're tuning in, we are doing the Holiday Hackdays. So we're having a Superbase hackathon. It's a virtual hackathon at the moment. It is still running until, I think, Sunday evening. So if you want to hack with us, you can do so, and you can submit, and you can win some Superbase swag. Where is it? There it is. This is the light mode t-shirt. So yeah.
I should be wearing my dark mode one. We'll have to coordinate for the next stream.
We ordered some Christmassy shirts, but I think they still haven't arrived. Have you gotten yours?
No, I haven't gotten mine yet.
We're so well prepared. Okay. Do you want to pull up your screen, and then we can have a look at what we did? I think we're still blown away by the Postgres policy just working out of the box yesterday.
Yeah. We might need to rerun through all of those success moments just to bring everyone up to speed. So yeah, this is our application at the moment. And so just to give a little bit of background again, we are building out a similar kind of layout interface. It won't be exactly the same as this, but sort of inspired by this Egghead landing page. So right now they're putting on a holiday course release extravaganza. And there's a collection of courses, and a new one is going live each day. And there's a special one here that you might want to check out if you want to learn more about Superbase and Stripe and Next.js. It's a good course. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. So yeah, basically we want to build a similar interface that's just a collection of days, like an advent calendar where you get to eat a chocolate every day leading up until Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, or if you celebrate chocolate. And yeah, you get a little chocolate each day, and then Christmas Day, obviously, you get a whole bunch more presents. So I don't know what Egghead have planned for the end. Maybe we get a whole big collection of something at the end of these 20 days. But yeah, we are building an application using Next.js and Superbase. So this is our application so far. It's rendering out a collection of doors. So if we have a look at our Superbase instance, We have two tables. We have an authors table where we're keeping all the information about the author of that piece of content. And you see we've just got two there. Actually, while we're here, we need to update this because thanks to your suggestion yesterday, I am now John Myers _IO on Twitter. So let's make sure that's actually the case and that it's not a dead link. Awesome. So there we go.
Nice.
And so now we've updated that in the database. Cool. So we have an authors
now
table.
I can actually find you when I'm looking for
you. Yeah. And we have a doors table, which is where we have all the information about each of those doors that's going to open throughout the week. And then yesterday we stepped through policies. So how you can use, what am I doing? Authentication policies. So how you can use row level security to disable all actions by default. So no one can do anything with your database. No one can select, insert, update, or delete. And then every time we want to enable one of those actions for a particular table, we can just create a new policy and step through that. So we have one policy for authors just so that anyone can select an author. So that just basically enables the select action on the authors table. And then we have a slightly more complicated, very cool policy for our doors where it gets a timestamp of the current date and time and then checks whether that is greater than or equal to the opening date, which is one of the columns in our doors table.
And that's now function basically will be run when the request to fetch the data comes into the database, and then that's evaluated, and based on that, the correct rows are being returned. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. So we just have two doors here at the moment, and so you'll see the timestamps. They look kind of similar if you don't look closely, but this 1 and 0 is reversed in this one. So one's going out on the 1st of December and one is going out on the 10th of December. So this one is live. This one has not yet gone live, and that's why we're only seeing that one course.
Maybe we run through the checklist and kind of see kind of what we've ticked off yesterday.
Cool. So we created a Superbase project. We created some tables. So there's two tables that we just went through. We created that Next.js client, and we're using Tailwind for styling. We got those rows showing on the screen. So pulling that data out of Superbase using the Superbase JS library and displaying them in a list on the screen. We then enabled row level security so that all of those actions were denied, and then just wrote policies to enable the two actions that we actually cared about. We wrote that policy, which we thought was going to be way more complicated, and then it ended up being very, very simple, which is fantastic because we could have probably spent the rest of the series of streams trying to work out how to do that properly, but turns out it's a really simple one-liner. And then we have just like roughly styled the doors. So obviously this doesn't quite look as good as this, but we will get there.
Not yet. What actually happens when you click on the page, it just goes to the actual course, right? With Egghead, it just goes to the page. Yeah, so I guess the question is, do we just link off to the content URL that we have modeled there, or do we actually want to link to a subpage? We probably don't actually need the subpage, right? Because the concept, I think we can show kind of how we are fetching the data. So we're using a pretty neat concept within Next.js that is called incremental static regeneration. And so we're basically get static props is what you use to fetch data at build time. So we're getting kind of all the doors that are currently open when we build our Next.js page. But then by specifying the revalidate parameter, and it's set in seconds here, so 60 times 60 seconds, so that's an hour. So every hour we basically rebuild the page and we refetch the content, and that way we can make sure that when basically we surpass the midnight hour, of the date that the door opens, we will then fetch the new door and populate it and show it. And I think we're kind of thinking to potentially have like link to a subpage, and then do kind of the same thing there. But I guess it's just kind of the same approach of fetching data. So probably we can just link off straight to our content URL, right? Because we're not actually, we're different than Egghead. We're not actually hosting the content. We're not kind of the content platform, but rather we're just sort of the doors that then is. Well, that's a question, actually. Do we want this to potentially have content that? No, probably not.
I don't think so. I think linking directly off is fine. Like you were saying, I think it would just be repeating the same concepts in selecting that data on an inner page. Can you quickly explain how come if we're doing a select for all of our doors here, how come it's only displaying one door? Wouldn't we need to chain on some sort of where clause if we were writing SQL, or some kind of filter to say we only want the ones that are open? Why is this select statement so easy and clear?
Yeah, I mean, that is the sweet thing with row level security policies. So you pretty much write your filter. If you go back to the policy, that is practically our filter. And in most scenarios, you would basically filter data based on who is authenticated. So I think maybe if we look at like one of the templates, we can see that we can check kind of, okay, within this request, what is the auth UID, so, or auth.role, for example. Are they authenticated? Do they have a certain permission? You can check kind of these things. And then what Postgres does, it basically filters the set based on that policy and just returns the rows, and that's why it's called row level security. Just returns the rows that actually adhere to that specific policy.
What a great name. That's fantastic. So you're saying this is kind of like adding like a where clause at the end of a select statement if you were doing like some SQL. If you were selecting from some table, and you're saying it's similar to adding a where clause on there to only get back those rows that pass that condition.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, the difference is that it applies to all queries hitting your table. So it's almost kind of like a pre-commit, like a pre-query filter, I guess. Yeah.
That's pretty. And then we can keep our querying logic nice and simple and clear. It makes it much more readable. That's great. All right. Cool. So what is next on our to-do list? I guess we should probably add auth, because one thing that we wanted to additionally build out is some kind of admin page. So if this was a list of our doors, if we went to say /admin, we would expect that you would need to be logged in to see this page, and also be have a role set to admin. So only the people that we've granted access to this page would have access to this page. And then from here, we could actually create new doors or update existing doors. And so, yeah. So in order to do that, we're probably going to need the ability to sign in and know who our users are. And so I reckon we need to add auth to Superbase.
Let's do that. Should we actually use the Superbase Ui auth component?
Oh, yeah.
Have you used that before?
I think I've used it once, but not recently. How familiar are you with it?
Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, I originally helped. I was working on it with Johnny back in the day. So let's see. I think it's GitHub, Superbase Ui.
All right. That's right. Superbase twice. This is how you use Google.
That's it. And then I think it's a separate Superbase Ui repo.
Right,
If
under
you go
the
back to
Superbase
Superbase
org.
org, and then I think just put in UI. Yeah, there's so many repos. Yeah,
UI.
that should be it. I think UI web.
Okay.
That's a good question. What's the difference?
The other one looked like it had one commit somewhere.
Yeah,
but has also been updated more recently, but maybe something else that we're working on. All right, we have the Superbase UI, which has been featured on Product Hunt. That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we just start by installing some Superbase UI?
Yeah, and so it's basically just a collection of UI component, React components. Oh, good morning, Hijabi Coder. Good to see you again. Tuning in from Kenya. Lovely.
Awesome.
What time is it there now? Nairobi. It's probably quite early as well, no? So enjoy your coffee while we figure out some Superbase auth.
All right. So it looks like we have this Superbase UI auth widget, which is going to do a lot of this hard work for us. So now that we've finished installing, we can run our dev server again. And I'm assuming we want to import auth from Superbase UI.
Should we do this on a new admin or like a login route or something like that?
Excellent call.
Yeah, maybe just admin.
Admin?
Yeah, although do we want to offer login to everyone? Then maybe it should be
I guess everyone should be able to log in. And then, the admin interface would require us to have that. Yeah,
because we also want folks to be able to like and comment, right? If we get to that.
Yeah.
So let's do login for everyone.
All right. I should really create a snippet for this. I used to have a snippet, but it's gone. New laptops, no snippets.
I think I used to have an extension that you basically just did like functional React RFC or something, and it did like React functional component.
Yeah, that is a good way to do it. All right, so it looks like we want to wrap our whole, probably our whole app in this auth.user context provider so that we can determine who our user is throughout the application. So I might just copy this and come up to our _app. And then here, put one of these ones.
And then just replace the auth component with the component page props, right? What's the container? Oh yeah, the container is just the Superbase client.
Actually, I think that is... Where are our children here? What's going on here? So we have a home. Oh, okay, I see. The container is this thing.
Oh, okay. So like a sign up button or something.
Okay. So in that case, we do want this in our login component rather than up the top. So we just want to wrap our application in this context provider. And then we can do this lower down. All right. That makes sense. So what have I done here? All right. There we go. Take this, replace this. And then we're going to need our client here. So we can import Superbase client from /utils/Superbase. And then we can pass down our Superbase client. And we also need to bring in our auth. Oops. Cool. So that will give us our user context provider. And so why do we need this context provider, Thor? What's this?
Yeah, so the user context provider is actually quite sweet. So it basically is Under the hood, I think it's just kind of a custom hook that when the user gets logged in, we kind of set, like in the hook has its own state, and we just set the whole session and user context in that user context provider, and it exposes a user kind of hook that then just returns us the logged in user. I think if I remember correctly, that, yeah, so basically it's just auth.useUser, and basically once the user is logged in, this will then return us the user from the auth component. So it is just kind of, yeah, a nice React context wrapper, which is actually, I think, I first learned about this approach from the, I think from some Vercel example that was kind of using the context like that, and it was really nice, sort of the context mixed with the custom hook. It just makes it a lot easier to sort of keep the state of your user throughout your application.
Yeah, that's really nice. Awesome. All right, so we're using that here, pulling out our user once we have our user. And then here we're specifying a collection of providers. And so we want to be able to authenticate with Facebook and GitHub. Since we're going to have to go through and configure that for each provider, maybe we should just do GitHub so we can show that.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming this also still lets us do email and password login.
Yeah, so those are in by default, if I remember correctly.
Cool. So if I go to our login route, Superbase is not defined. You are correct, because I haven't imported that one here.
It was Superbase client, right?
Yes, certainly was, which means I need to pass that now.
Yeah.
Whoa,
work.
Look at that.
Lovely.
It's working. Beautiful.
We probably should put it in a container or something. So, that's what the container was for.
Right. That's what that container was for. This container. So,
yeah, I think we can just use some. Yeah, we can just use some Tailwind. Yeah.
Let's do it. So we can probably copy a few of the styles from here. So if we had, which does suggest we can probably copy, because we're probably going to want these same styles. Yeah, in every single component or every single page that we have. So if we move this up a level, so I'm just going to cut this from here, go to our _app. So this wraps every single one of our page components. So this component here basically represents any page that we're currently navigated to. So if we're on our index route, so just / our homepage, then our component will be this index.js file. If we're on / login and we're looking at that login page, then this component will be our login component that we've specified in that file. So if we want something that wraps around all of those pages, we can just put it up here. And then we'll need to close that one, and then thank Prettier for doing all the hard work of indenting everything nicely for us. And that should be it. Now, if we go back to our index, we need to clean this up a little bit. Because we're now returning some sibling components, some sibling elements. So we've got a h1 and a div, but we don't have anything wrapping around those in this component. React doesn't like that. So you need to give it what's called a fragment, which can wrap around these things, which, just allows you to return multiple adjacent siblings. You could also make this like a div, but then we have an extra element in the DOM that we're not actually using for anything other than to make React happy. So if we can make React happy with just a fragment, it means that we're not messing up, muddying up our DOM with extra elements that we need to render for no reason. Cool. So now that we're back to here, if I get rid of that wrapping div again, we can see what that looks like. Okay, cool. So that looks a little bit better.
Nice.
Might want this to be maybe a little bit smaller than that. So we will put a div around this one. And give it a class name of, well, what do we want? We want like max width to be XL maybe. That looks good. And then again, we want to MX auto that one. So give it margin left and right of just whatever is left over. Nice.
Beauty. Lovely.
Job's done.
And what I really like about this component is like if you in the provider string, if you like add Twitter or Facebook or anything, it just adds the buttons kind of in a nice way. So it's Johnny has really done some great work like making that look nice. And I think look at that. And I think you can even style it some more and stuff. Yeah. So thank you, Johnny. He's on a well-deserved vacation at the moment, I think. So
I think he's on a plane. Oh, he's probably off a plane now, but yes, I think he's
hopefully.
Having a bit of a break.
Recovering from the jet lag. Yes. So so this is Superbase UI, some UI components that you can use. And specifically, we're using the auth component here. And because we're just passing our Superbase client, and the auth component under the hood just uses the Superbase client.auth namespace, so the auth client, this should actually just work out of the box.
Yeah. So if we click sign up, oh, look at that. So good.
Yeah.
So we don't even have to implement anything.
No.
Thought we're going to run out of things to do for the stream. We can't keep having all the heavy lifting done for us. Maybe this is the problem with using Superbase at work. All of a sudden, you realize that they don't need to be paying you because everything just works so easily.
Oh, yeah. Got to be careful.
Okay, so I'm going to assume if I try to sign up here, so let's say John at superbase.io, and sure, let's generate a super secure password and sign up. Is this already going to be wired up to work correctly? If I come over here and look at our users, we have a new user. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for verification because I would need to log in to my email and verify that.
But now because you're, so it is, I think it should be sending you an email and it just points to localhost. So that should actually work. And I think in your application now, if you do maybe a console log of the user on the index page.
Already there. Oh, we've got null. But if I refresh.
Yeah, because the thing is that you haven't verified your email yet, right?
Right. I'm not a real user.
Correct. So I think like if you click on the email now, it'll work. Or for testing purposes, what we can do is we can actually disable the email. So of course, in a live application, you shouldn't do this. But in a test application, we can say enable email confirmation, turn that off, which means that any signed up person is just assumed to be correctly signed up. So for testing, that is quite nice. The only thing now is you would have to delete kind of your, I think the problem is it doesn't carry over to users that were already created. So
but I'm saying if I create a new user,
sign up as, what have you, and then you actually get the user in the use user. Yep, there it is.
That is so cool. Awesome. Oh, man. So much done for you. That's great. And it looks like we have some, it's created an ID for us. It's created a role. And so it's automatically given us the role authenticated. And so that might be something we want to look at in the future when we want to implement role-based authentication or role-based authorization. We might want to look at a way to switch this to a role that we want to grant access to the admin interface, like admin. But yeah, that's super cool. So why don't we look at signing up with GitHub instead? So if we come back over here, and scroll down. So again, this is under authentication and then settings. This is where all of our kind of auth stuff lives. And so if we want to enable GitHub, we just click enable here. We then need a client ID and a client secret. So we're going to have to get these from GitHub. So if we head over to github.com, log in as yourself, go to settings, and then I think it's developer settings, and then OAuth apps, I believe. And if we create a new OAuth app and call this Advent Calendar, the homepage URL is...
I think, can we just put in localhost for now?
We can put in, no, because this is the homepage that actually redirects to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to copy this so we have it. And then if I come over here, again, we're calling this Advent Calendar. And then the callback URL is going to be the URL of our actual Superbase instance. So this is just copied over from another project. So we'll have to actually go and get our URL. So if we go to settings and then API, this will be that same URL that we put in our .env.local file in the last video. So if we copy that from here and go back over to GitHub and replace this part of the URL with that. So this is the authorization callback URL. So this is where GitHub is basically going to forward the browser once the user has successfully signed in. And so it will redirect to this URL and pass across like an access token or the bits and pieces that we need to know that that user is now officially signed in. So that one is our Superbase URL /auth/v1/callback. And then the homepage URL is just going to be this part of the URL. So just our Superbase URL. And since Thor really loves his clear descriptions, we can say this OAuth app is used to authenticate users with GitHub. Advent Calendar users. Look at that. Nice. So now we can register our application, and then we get this client ID, and we can generate our client secret. So if I copy our client ID from here and bring it over to our Superbase settings, and so again, that was under auth settings, and then under GitHub, we'll have to toggle that on again, paste that in, and then I believe there might be a little UI bug here, but we'll see. If we copy our secret from here and head back, oh no, fixed, look at that. I didn't say anything, never mind. Cool, so our settings are now saved. We now have enabled our GitHub login. So now if we come back to here and refresh, we should be able to, because we haven't really implemented anything to say that we can't log in multiple times, we should be able to sign up with GitHub here. Mm-hmm. Here we can say we want to authorize this application. So this is just me as my GitHub account saying I authorize this, all of this data to be used to authenticate me. And you'll see that's redirected us to our homepage. And so if we come in here and console log out our user from the homepage, or no, we'll just go back to /login and look in our console, and we have our user signed in here. And you'll see that we've got my actual email address because we've now authenticated with GitHub. And so GitHub has passed us all of that additional metadata. So if we wanted to like access the user's avatar, for example, there's a whole bunch of extra convenience information that GitHub has provided us because we're using that as an authentication platform.
Nice. I think if we use Twitter or Auth, then we could also just scrape the Twitter username, I think, right? But
that's a great
creating
idea.
a Twitter application. Yeah, is creating a Twitter application, yeah, it's fine, right? Maybe should we let's do another one.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
To log into Twitter. Gotcha. All right. So I think John, the postman, showed up.
No. I had to tell my parents that it's all good. Someone didn't break in. You know me. I didn't tell them that I was setting up my little temp studio here. So
right. Yeah,
they have more stable internet than we have at home at the moment, and so I've come here to.
So now they just came in with a shotgun, like, what?
Yeah, that's right. I just had to quickly turn off my camera in case it got violent. Okay, we are going to create a Twitter application. I haven't actually done this before, so we'll see how we go.
Yeah, go on.
I have to remember my username.
Yeah, I'll take you off stream for a second until you're logged in. Although, I mean, the password should be hidden, right?
Yeah. I knew my password.
But you can never be too careful.
All right. Bringing up one password now, so let's make sure that I'm not signed in. Or not sharing. All right. Copy that. Bring that here. Log in. All right.
Oh, yeah?
I'm ready. You can bring me back in.
Lovely.
All right. And I am going to guess that if we go to settings and you know what, we could probably
I think it
Google.
might be, you might have to go to developer. Oh, you're using Firefox again, are you?
I'm using Firefox as my browser.
Oh,
but
okay. But for the studio, you're using Chrome?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wait, I think so. Yeah, I hope so. Does it does it look right?
No, I think so.
Okay.
Do we not link from the dashboard where you have to go? Or maybe, I mean, the Superbase docs should have it, right? So.
Surely. Yes, we do have a collection of. That's not going to help me.
Log in with Twitter, Superbase. So that is this docs page here.
This one? Auth Twitter?
Yeah, that should be it.
Perfect.
Create and configure a Twitter project. Oh, yeah, you need to go to the Twitter developer dashboard.
Cool. And then we go add your Twitter. Wait, where does it say that? Project.
Create and configure a Twitter project. Okay.
Okay. Create an app. That's what we need to do. Overview.
Yes.
Project.
Add app. There's a button.
Create app. Beautiful. App name. Advent calendar. Oh, that was easy. And there's all my keys for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Can we rewind time?
Yeah. Well, we can probably. Yeah, that's a good question.
It's fine.
Okay. What can this actually do now? It can act as advent calendar. I think after the stream, maybe just delete the app.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
No one would mess with us during the stream, would they? That wouldn't happen.
Well,
all right.
I mean, if they manage to do in that little time.
Yeah, we'll send you swag.
Yeah.
All right, so now we want to authenticate with GitHub, and we also want to authenticate with Twitter. And now we have that beautiful little Twitter there, and no route matched with those values. So I took my API key and my API key secret. I should probably just keep following this instead of, yeah, no, I did that. Add your login code to the Superbase JS library.
Yeah, but I mean, I think... Code? No, it's just the code for the login.
Right.
Yeah, so the programming code.
Okay.
And then where
So
do we put the callback URL though? Set up
maybe
your
that's
app.
app settings.
Uh,
Keys and tokens. Does anyone in the chat know? Where are we going wrong?
Well, create and configure. Yeah. Was there anything with callback? Because normally we would have the callback.
Yeah, that's what.
If you go back to edit, settings edit, description, no.
And then we've got keys and tokens.
About authentication, app permission. Well, that's just docs, isn't it? Okay. Well, let's see what happens if we use it.
We got an error. Whoops.
Oh.
Because it didn't know where to go. So we got no route matched with those values. So it did forward us to here though, which is interesting because that is our KCR blah 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 is, I believe, our application. Yeah, KCF blah blah blah.
Yeah.
KCF bloody bloody blah. So it is forwarding us back to our application.
After Twitter? Did it actually go to Twitter though? No, right?
Maybe not. Let's go /login. Sign up with Twitter. And then it jumps straight to here.
It doesn't actually manage to forward to Twitter. So you put in the key and in the Superbase dashboard?
Yes, I did. So our keys and tokens, we can regenerate those. It's weird. There's not a place here where we can.
Well, I think the thing is that Twitter uses OAuth 1 still, which is not great, but I'm actually not sure what the difference is.
Okay, so if we refresh, sign up with Twitter. All right, let's just do that another time. Let's get rid of Twitter for now.
Okay, we should chat
to we'll work out how to do that. Oh, actually, we have an audit trail, but they are all to do with
this was your GitHub.
Yeah. So it feels like we're just missing a menu here to be able to actually input where we want to forward that to. So we can work that out off stream and get back to you. Cool. So we have an application where we can sign in with GitHub. And so I think I'm still authenticated as GitHub. If I go /login, see how now. All right. So if we sign in with GitHub and go back to /login, we will see our user there. Awesome. Okay, so now we have a user. And so what do we want to do next? We've added auth.
Yeah, I think.
And we've already, see, I had this as a whole step, but we didn't even need to do that because we're using that auth component. Or I guess we added a login route, but I'd say that's done. So I guess we could build out our admin page. So this will be interesting because we will get into a little bit about how to deal with cookies and things in Next.js.
Yeah, I don't think we will do any server-side rendering, so we probably don't necessarily need cookies. Well,
I was imagining this admin page because we don't want anyone who's not an admin to access it. I was thinking that we would, in get server-side props, redirect the user back to the landing page, basically, if they try and access the admin interface. Yeah, because it wouldn't make sense for them to see the admin page if they weren't logged in.
We can do all of that technically client side. So I think the cookie we only need if we actually want to do server side rendering. So it depends. Yeah, do we actually need?
It's up to you. Should we build this out? Should we say admin and create a page? I think we do want to do this server side, because otherwise, if we did this client side, if we did it server side, then we could do it before the user hits the route at all. So we could
That's true.
Have a get server side props. And then when the user tries to navigate to here, we could just redirect them before even needing to load client side, because otherwise we would need to load the route and then display some kind of you don't have access to view this or something like that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So the way this works actually with Superbase at the moment is that because with email login, you're doing the whole login step with Ajax on the client side. So after the user is logged in, you will then need to forward the auth events to your auth route. So we basically need an API route.
Good call.
In pages. So we just say auth. I think we can just call it auth. Yeah, I mean, if we want to write a lot of text, we can call it that.
You were all about being clear earlier with descriptions.
It's true.
Okay, so what do we want to do in here? We probably want our Superbase client.
Yes, so we'll need the Superbase client, correct?
And this is something that is super cool about Next.js. Again, anytime we create a file in this API folder, this is creating a serverless function for us, or an API route, which is what they're known as in Next.js. And the cool thing is we can share code between what's happening on our server as well as what's happening on our client. And so we've got this utils folder with this Superbase client in it, but we can actually import that file within this API route, even though it's running off on a server somewhere when the user requests it, which is super cool.
Super cool. Oh, nice. Swix. Swix is here. What time is it for you? You're still in US West, or are you back in Singapore, Swix? Or, you don't have to answer if you want to keep that private. Oh, nice. So he says he browsed through your Egghead course and learned a couple of neat things.
That's great.
Wish I didn't have to use ngrok. Oh.
Yeah. I should have worked out a slightly cleaner way to do that.
Oh, ngrok with Stripe, or what did you need it for?
With Stripe, I think I could have used. We could have tested locally. I think it was before that I implemented something using ngrok. What was it? Something. Definitely something.
Nice. And Swix will be back in Singapore in December. Lovely.
Nice.
That will be exciting. We should play some tennis. And John, you should join us.
Tennis. Yeah. I'll fly over to Singapore and play some tennis and then fly home.
Indeed.
So what do we want to do here in our API route?
Oh, ngrok with Superbase. Okay. Nice. Sorry. Let's focus.
Yes, I remember now. Because we were setting up Superbase hooks, which need to call a serverless function or one of my API routes when something in the database changed. It didn't, because I needed to register that webhook to be able to send a request to that URL. That URL wasn't localhost doesn't make sense. That server doesn't know who localhost is, how to get to your computer, and so we needed to use it to tunnel traffic from that endpoint through to localhost running on our machine in development.
Gotcha. Cool.
All right.
Yes, so what we basically want to do here is, so our handler gets the request and response, right? And then we basically just want to call the Superbase client dot, is it API dot
set auth cookie?
Set auth cookie, something like that, okay. I think we actually haven't documented this well. So the reason why we haven't documented this well is that we're actually working on changing this a little bit in terms of the flow, and specifically, so currently you need to forward the cookie. You need to forward basically the session from the client to the server and then set the cookie there. But ideally what we want to do is, as we come back from the login, we want to set our cookie server-side first before we render actually our application. And so that's a bit of a different way of doing it. I think if you go to the examples folder and go to Next.js with Superbase Auth, that's the example that kind of shows you how to do, and then just examples, Next.js with, no, sorry, it's a different one. Next.js with Superbase Auth. If you, and then, pages, you can look in pages, and then API and auth.
Also, if you want to check out this excellent course by John Myers on egghead.io, you'll see a very similar example taken from this exact example folder. Okay.
Oh, are we already at the shameless plugs section?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This whole thing is a shameless plug. We're only doing these streams to funnel people into my course. That's the whole point of this.
Oh, wait, I didn't know that.
You are also being funneled into my course. Okay,
Gotcha.
Cool. So we have a handler that gets the request and the response, and then we want to call Superbase client.auth.api.set auth cookie.
That way, yes.
And we pass it our request and our response, and then it's automatically going to set a cookie in our browser, which is going to be sent across to each time we make a request to that server. And so if we now...
so the neat thing with that is so this is something that only works on the server side, because in order to set a secure cookie, you can only do that on the server side. So this cookie is an HTTP secure, HTTP only cookie. So you can't actually access the cookie with JavaScript. So there's cookies that you can access with JavaScript, which are kind of the nasty cousin cookie, so to speak. And then there are the nice... Isn't that like a saying? The nasty cousin of... I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I was just looking for some alliteration. I like alliterations. Anyway, and then there's the secure HTTP only cookie, and that's exactly what you can only set on the server side, and that means it can also only be read on the server side, and that's exactly what we want with a secure application. Cool. Yeah, so that's the step. So basically what set auth cookie does, it reads the session from the request body, and then it creates the cookie and sets it. And so in the next step, what we need to do is we actually need to forward our session to our set auth cookie API route. And I think you can, if you go back to the example.
Let me take that from here.
It's
actually, I'll quickly show what this, like, just to show what it would look like if we didn't do that. So we can use the reverse of this, which is superbase.auth.api.get user by cookie, which is going to give us the user back. And so we can see that right now, if we try and navigate to our admin page, I'll also just import our Superbase client from there. Ref if I just try to return props user, and then that will come through to our component as our user, and we can console log them out. Okay, so if we try to now navigate to our admin route, we get...
Oh yeah, we need to
because
pass
I
in
didn't
the request. That's it.
my things correctly. But then if we have a look, the user is null. And so even though if we go to our login page, we can see that our user is currently... I removed our... on the login page, I removed it all.
Give us some logs.
All right. I removed it. I was cleaning it up, but it's probably a good thing to have there. So import, auth const user equals auth.useUser. That looks right. Okay, cool. There we go. So we have our user here on the login page, but if we try and go to the admin page, it's set to null. And so something's going wrong here on the server side when we're trying to pull this out of the cookie. And that's because we haven't set that cookie yet. And so we haven't actually called this API route. And so we probably want to call this API route anytime the state of our user changes. So anytime a user logs in or logs out, we would want to call this this API route. And so we probably want that to be up in our underscore app. We can have a look at where you've got it in your example.
Yeah, if you look at the example, I think it is in the underscore app exactly as a use fact. No, then maybe it's in the index page. Where is it?
So yeah, here it looks like whenever the auth state changes, you are making a fetch request to that API route and passing across the event and the session. So let's take this part. And we might do that in our underscore app.js file just so that it's available across.
You can probably actually copy the whole use effect.
Let's do it.
And then we can step through it.
I always feel like imports from React always have to be at the top.
Oh, yeah.
If they're not there, it's just not right. Like this would be a big no-no.
Yeah.
Has to
but
be at the
then
top.
You stopped importing React because Next does everything for you.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it makes it confusing when you actually need to specify it to bring in use effect. Okay, cool. So we have use effect. And so we are setting up an auth listener here. We're saying superbase.auth.onAuth state change, which
I think we need to rename that to the Superbase client, right? Is what we call it. There we are.
Cool. So then if the event is this, we set the auth view. Are we doing this stuff at the moment? Set auth view coming in from?
No, set auth view is, I think it's just a redirect, is it?
Yeah. Okay. So we can probably get rid of this bit.
Well, you still need the if.
Oh, sorry.
I think. Oh, no, if user updated. Okay, sorry. No, you're right. We don't need
So if we console log out the event and the session, just so we can see what's actually in there, and maybe before we do that fetch. So this function is going to trigger whenever the state of our user changes. And so we can change that by going to our login page and signing in again. So if we sign up with GitHub, you'll see that this is printed out to the console. So we got an event that was signed in. And then we have a session, which gives us an access token, which has an expiry and where it's come from. Cool. So we have our event and our session. So then what we want to do is pass those along to our API route. So in our case, it's /API/set auth cookie.
Set auth cookie. Yeah, which is fair. It's pretty explanatory.
But I guess it's also unsetting an auth cookie if we're signing out. But anyway, let's ignore that.
Correct.
Setting auth cookie, update auth cookie, deal with auth cookies, handle auth cookie. So we're sending a post request to this. We're saying that the content type is application/JSON. The credentials are same origin, and then we're giving it a stringified version of that event and session as the body. And so we don't really need to we don't need to worry too much about what's going on behind the scenes here, but basically we're just passing along the event and the session, which is then used by this auth.api.set auth cookie. It uses the event and the session to determine whether we're signing the user in or signing them out, and setting that cookie so that we can access it in our get server-side props function. Cool. So so let's test this actually works. So if we go to, so we put this up in our _app. So this should run on every page.
So we just sign in, and then you can check the Chrome DevTools to see if the cookie, maybe let's, and now if you open, it should be, okay, so in the Chrome DevTools, it's application. Yeah, okay, so that's it, Superbase token. So that is the cookie that was set.
So now if we went to our admin page, before we were getting null as our user, but now we're also getting null. Okay, so what's happened there? So we have our SB token set for that.
GB only, yeah.
Admin page.
So that should be fine. I think the problem is that this is a server-side request, which needs our service role key. So I think if you log out the error for this, so I think it would be user comma error, is that correct? We should see something along the lines of...
So this is in get server-side prop. So if we refresh here. All right, this is happening on the server.
Do we need to restart?
That'll be here.
Oh, yes. Oh, so the cookie parser middleware is in use. What? Does it, what, so, okay, what's the error? Not able to parse cookies.
When using Express, make sure the cookie parser middleware.
Oh, okay. I think the error is misleading, because I think the actual error, let's try. I think the actual error is that we're calling it with the service role key, but for some reason, and I guess this is my fault when I wrote this get user by cookie function, it just says not able to parse cookie, even though it's actually a different error. Okay, let's, if we go back to the example app, can we see what Superbase client is being used in the user page?
Sorry, in the profile page?
Profile, yeah. So if you look at how the Superbase is created, the Superbase client.
Oh, sorry.
So this one's, yeah, Superbase.
No, it's just using the anon key. Actually, can we try one thing? Just because I hate the built-in fetch library, I'm going to blame it and say, let's pivot and use Axios. So Axios is just another small library that we can use for sending requests. It just does some, it gives you some smarts out of the box. So things like setting the content type to application JSON. So let me just see if we were to say axios.post, and we were to post to this URL. And then we should just need, all of this should be set. And then we just need a body, which has our event and our session, and it will stringify it for us. Let's see.
Wait. Are we get server-side props? Can you check on the get server-side props your how you're getting the request again? 1 second. Oh yeah, the request is an object, so it's nested within an object. So that's why it can't actually parse the cookie, because it's getting not the request object, but the whole context object, right?
All right. Should we go back to using the built-in fetch library?
Yes, please.
Sure. All right. Cool. And then why not keep it nice and clean, and we'll uninstall Axios. Start our development server again. And
so actually the error message was correct. It just it just didn't relate to yeah.
We just jumped to conclusions.
The right idea.
So if we sign in now, and then we go back to our admin page, awesome. We see a user there, and we're logged in. And this is coming from our server side, which is the exciting part. So in our admin page, this is in get server side props. And so anything that happens in our component, that's all with our Superbase client, and it'll know who our user is who's signed in. But if we want to check who our user is on the server side, we need to explicitly set that up by using that set auth cookie and then pulling that out of the cookie like this. So we can go back to
this is interesting. So I was actually wrong in saying that get user by cookie needs the service role key. So that's incorrect, which actually means probably get user by cookie shouldn't be in the API namespace. Okay, this is good. This gave me something to think about. Hey, yeah. Dipankar, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but thanks for tuning in. We're just building an advent calendar, and we're figuring out auth on the server side. So server-side rendering with Superbase auth in Next.js. That's what we're doing right now, and we're having some cookies. Oh, I'd love an actual cookie right now.
So now we can use that lovely redirect that you had there. So if we have no user, then we're going to redirect to the index page. So if someone's trying to come to this admin page, the first thing that happens is Next runs this get server-side props function. We try and pull out the user from the cookie, and then we check if we don't have a user, then we don't want them seeing this page at all. This admin page is only for people who are, well, currently this is just for people who are logged in, but we can add a little bit more to check that their role is actually admin. And yeah, basically if no user is there, then we return a redirect with the destination set to / and permanent set to false. And so this is just going to redirect the user to the landing page. But if we do have a user, then it's going to pass it through to our admin page, and we can console log our user out there. And so that's why here we have a user in the console, because we are actually logged in. But now if we log out, which we haven't implemented yet, so let's implement.
You could also just delete the cookie from the browser tools real quick if you wanted to check
that's a good idea. So we can delete this one.
Delete that, and then refresh the page. You'll get back to, maybe should you
to the landing page.
Would you want redirect to the login page instead, or does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because
right?
we can. Yeah. So the user gets a little bit more information about what the next thing they need to do is. They need to sign in. And you'll see that we're still signed in here in the client, because this has just removed that cookie that we're using to send across to the server. And so, so how about we create a logout route that can also log out our user from here. So in that case, if we, I wonder if there is a logout example using.
Yeah, so basically it
Auth
just
UI.
is, you could just call Superbase auth. Is it sign out?
Yeah. All right, let's do that.
So we could just add a button. Or I guess if we have an actual route, we wouldn't really need the button.
Yeah, good call. So we might want to do this in a user
Should we
effect.
just render the button throughout the application if the user is logged in? Should we do that?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. So if we wouldn't need a logout route at all. We could just have _app.js.
Yeah, and probably eventually we should pull that out into like a layout component or something. But I think for now, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right, we'll have log out. Where is this?
So basically, you would check if we have the auth.useUser. If the user is set, then we show the logout button, and otherwise we don't.
Okay, cool. So we go like that, and we say Superbase client.auth.user.
No, I think it was the auth capital A auth component.
Oh, okay.
So auth.useUser.
Oh, so we can't use that here because the user hook needs to be called within the context provider here. But we already have our client here, so we can just say Superbase client.
Oh yeah.
.auth.user, and then this is what we want to show if we don't have a user. So if we do have a user,
does it need an await though?
No, this one is
okay.
synchronous. Yeah, and if we don't have a user, we just don't want to show anything. Oops. So now we have a logout button, and so now let's implement actually logging out when we click it. So we can say on click equals handle sign out, which can be a function that we create up here, or maybe here. And that could be an async function, which just calls Superbase client dot auth dot sign out. I'm going to guess, which we could just quickly confirm with the docs.
Yes, correct. Sign out. Yeah, or you turn on your code hints
that
because it is all in
the
TypeScript and the JavaScript.
Beautiful. But yes, looks like superbase.auth.signout, which is this. Was this not what I specified here? Why are we gray? Because I've put it inside the use effect. All right. And I guess we could await that. Now, let's see if we hit another bug. No. Cool. So our users signed out. They're now null. And if we go to the admin page, we get redirected. If we sign in, then we see that printed out. And we go to our admin page, we should be able to see it. But
what's the error message there? Warning.
Expected server HTML to contain a matching button in div.
Oh,
so this button is being removed by this, I think.
Okay. I think it's that because the client side and the server side rendering is sort of a different result, something like that.
So why don't we say, because if we, I'm assuming, if we just take this call get rid of all of this. So we're always seeing the button, no matter if we're logged in or logged out. And then I reckon if we say hidden in...
Oh, which is hiding it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So then if we wanted to like toggle that as a class, we could use our... Oh, we're going to have to put brackets here too.
Yeah.
All right. We could now put our Superbase client.auth.user check here. And we could say if the user is logged in, then we wouldn't need to set any class. If they're not logged in, then we want it to be hidden. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So now with the class name, so we're setting this with CSS rather than actually removing the element from the DOM. So now when we refresh, it's still not happy. Class name did not match. Okay, because it's still swapping out the class name.
Yeah, well.
This sounds like an error.
That it's
we
just...
can ignore for now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we have our logout. And I suspect when we click this, though, no, it's all good. It's all working. It's beautiful. It's perfect. All right.
Very nice.
So now we have, an admin page that's properly protected and only accessible if the user is signed in. That's awesome.
Beautiful.
So we've built our admin. I guess we haven't built our admin page, have we?
Yeah.
We've just protected our admin page.
We've built our auth.
Let's add something so we can tick it. All right. So now we want to build out our actual admin page. So what do we want this to look like? If we have a look at the kind of data that we're going to be inputting, it will be for our doors. And so we'll be wanting to add, I guess, a title, a description, and then an opening date. And
I guess if we think about it, I mean, the whole interface could just be the 24 tiles, right? So that's sort of the amount of content that can be set. And then in a way, basically, if you're an admin, you should be able to edit any of the tiles, no matter if they are empty or not. So maybe, or we could just have a form like a create new door form on the admin page.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we just add these these little bits. So I'm assuming our Superbase UI has a collection of components we can use for this.
Oh, yeah.
This is not the Superbase UI.
I think actually Superbase UI has like, if you click, I think there's a URL which goes to, say URL? Maybe not.
Yeah, I remember seeing, documentation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, here we go. Cool. So we probably want a collection of inputs. Look at that. That's beautiful. So clean. All right, let's take this example. And let's take our input. And here we can render out a H1 that says admin, just so we can see that we're on the admin page. We can set the styles for that to be a little bit bigger. And then we can dump in our input. Cool. And now if we come here, look at that. And it's even got focus styles, beautiful Superbase green. Johnny is
Thank you, Johnny.
amazing. Let's give this margin top of 3, maybe 6. And then margin bottom, let's just do margin Y. Beautiful. This is coming together. So we don't want this to be first name. We want this to be title, I guess.
Yeah, I think, what did we have? We had...
And then we have description. And we have opening date. So maybe because the opening date kind of follows the same pattern, like because we've just got something of the 12th, 2021 and the same timestamp, we can probably just ask for a number, like which day is this for? And then we can probably just kind of hard code this in the request to Superbase.
Does Superbase UI have a calendar component? Like a calendar picker?
I think it did have a date. Let's just close this other stuff. Twitter, you let us down. I thought I saw a date before. Input. Input, basic, number, radio, checkbox. Was there not a date? Can we search?
Maybe input
Maybe
number.
we don't have a date. Yeah, so maybe we'll just use a number. Yeah, maybe we'll just use a number and just say which day are you currently adding something for.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Actually, sorry, was that an input number? I feel like maybe day should come first. That feels important to inputting this data. So which day, what's the title, what's the description? We probably need to look at file storage at some point, but maybe that's a good one for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe we could focus a whole stream on just storage.
Storage, nice.
We then need which author. So we might want to do a select box maybe. Do we have a select box that can be set off a collection of values? Because I guess we could make a request to Superbase to get all of the authors. And so you can choose which author you would actually like to associate this with. Yeah, let's do that. So since we're already using get server-side props, I guess here after we've confirmed.
Yeah, if we have a user, we then fetch the authors.
So from authors, select all of our author columns.
Well, technically, we just need name and ID, right?
That is a very good point. I'll stop being wasteful.
Yes, thank you.
You're right.
And Hasso Plattner, one of the SAP founders, always said, select star is for losers.
I'll keep that in mind from now on. Anytime I go to type it, no, I don't want to be a loser. I want to be a winner. I'm gonna specify my columns.
Yeah. Well, he mainly said that because he built a column-based database that performs really badly if you select all columns. So.
Right. Okay. Okay. So if we refresh here, actually, we'll need to print it out. So authors, and then we can say authors and refresh. So we have our array of authors with just their ID and name. And so we could use that in a select box. So it looked like the outermost part, whoops, is a select. And then we have select options. All right, cool. Oh, damn. So we have this outside of our loop, and then inside this select, we want to iterate over all of the authors. So we want to map over each author, and for each one of them, we want to output a select dot option with the option set to our author dot name and our key set to author dot ID. Then it looks like we have a handle change function, which we'll use to, I guess we won't actually need that yet, will we? But let's just console log out.
No, I don't think we actually need it, because I think just on submit, we just read the form data. We don't really need to know when it changes, right? We don't need to keep it in state. Yeah.
Cool. Right. So this should all be in a form then.
A form, yes.
And our form should have an onSubmit where we handle the submit.
That's it. Yeah, and you'll have to do prevent default because we don't actually
yes.
want it to submit.
Because JavaScript does not like real forms. We must always stop the default behavior. Yes. And since we have this user here, maybe we'll say admin and then a little user.name.
Yeah.
Select is not defined. And looks like our user.name is not defined.
Maybe user.email?
You're so good. So good at this, though. And now we have a beautiful drop-down with our two authors. That's cool.
Beauty.
Awesome. So what do we need next? So we've got the day, the title, description, our author. So then we need an image URL and a content URL. So we can probably just make those regular inputs again.
Yeah, I guess for the image URL, we'll need a file input that then uploads to Superbase storage. So I think let's just do that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good call. So maybe, for today, how about we just do a regular text input, and then tomorrow we can swap this out and look at file storage. Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun stream. Excellent. All right.
Yeah, we should actually do a UI component for file upload, right?
We should, because I was just looking to see if there was one here, and it doesn't look like it. We have our input, and this has number.
Oh yeah, data input. So if you look at the README, it has like the things. So if you look at the README of the Superbase UI, it has a roadmap. And both date picker, time picker, form, and upload are So we could if we actually build a good one, we could contribute it.
That's true. Yeah, let's do that. Oh man, this is going to be so cool with toast messages and things. Awesome.
Let's have a toast.
Awesome. All right. What do we need? Where are we? What are we doing? All right, we've got our day, our title, our description, our select, our let's change that from select label to be author. And we probably need a submit button.
Yep.
I'm just going to assume that we have a submit button, which we do. Awesome.
Yeah, probably is the default type submit, or?
I think so.
Question. I'd reckon so. Yeah.
Anytime you, yeah. Let's give it a go. All right. So we'll handle our submit, and we'll say submitting. So if we click our button, we've got submitting. Yeah, cool. So that does submit that form. So then if we say console log out, our values can be, values can be e.target.values. Is it that simple?
I think we need to create form data. So I think we just do the new form data document.query selector form.
Like this?
Yeah, that should be it. And then the form data is, oh wait, actually we can do. Oh no, I think we can just do e.form data. Is that correct? Because our e is our form, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a way. Form on submit values.
Yeah, it should be e.form data. So
e.form data?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's try refreshing. No, that's undefined.
What e.form data is undefined?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe try the new form data. Oh, I always forget how to do this, but
there's definitely a way. I did it just recently. So we have on submit and oh man, W3 schools. What am I doing? 3 ways. This will help us out. So we have a handle submit. We can grab event.target and then dot the name of the element.
oh, new form data event.target. That should be it, right?
New form data event.
And then it's data.get and then the name of, or e.target. Yeah, sorry.
And then did you say form? Well, let's just see.
Yeah, and then, for example, it's data.get and then the name of the input fields.
Okay.
So it's just data.get.
So if we wanted our day, that would be form data.get day, or I guess uppercase day.
Oops. Depends what you... Did you name your... Oh, you didn't name your inputs, right?
I think it's doing it under the hood. Oh, maybe it's not. I was assuming this label was going to do some magic for me.
Oh, okay. I think it needs to be named though, right?
Okay. That is working.
Okay, cool.
So I wonder if e.target, what was the other thing? Was it just .values? Was that actually working before? No? E.target. No.
What are you doing?
I'm just undoing everything. So let's start again.
No.
All right. So when we type
worked.
create next app. All right. So we've got our day, and then just wondering if they all exist in the form data itself, because it would be nice to be able to do like object destructuring or something and pull them all out.
Yeah, I don't think form data can do that, but
okay.
Yeah,
Title.
we just need to make sure we name them all, and then we can access the form data. Yup.
Cool. So we want to give them all a name. But we probably want them to be lowercase. These ones. So because it's a select, so that should come through as author. And then image, content. And then we can say description, author, image, and content. Okay. So now if we enter in some values for all of these and submit, we have a title, we have a description, we have a day, we have an author, image, and content. Awesome. Okay, cool. That is working very well. The only thing I was thinking is it would be good if we could grab the ID of the author, because that's what we're going to want to write to our database rather than the name.
Yeah, that's exactly. We should basically make the of the select. We should make the value the ID.
Oh, of the option.
Yeah, that should be
ID. Oh, look at that! You're a pro. You've done web development before.
Some of the HTML has stuck around in that brain, even past 30.
Good stuff. All right, so we have all those values now. So let's write them to
there's
Superbase.
a question that we missed. Is there any recommended way to create routes for new content creating or editing? Create routes. Can you expand on that, Deepankar? I'm not entirely sure. Is it just how to structure it in your Next.js application, or are you looking for like a nice form component for Superbase or something like that?
And while we're waiting for that, we can make a request to Superbase, and from the doors table, we want to insert all of these new values. Let's say insert Superbase.js. Cool. So we can give it an array and set multiple values. And if we just want to do one value, we just specify one. Cool. So insert and insert many would be basically the same method. Cool. So we give it an array with all of these values. That's an interesting thing I just thought of. We probably want them to map to these, which most of them do. We probably want to make it image URL and content URL, just to make this a little bit easier for ourselves. And then our author, this will be interesting because we'll be passing across a string. We'll see whether the Superbase JS library is smart enough to turn that into a number for us.
Let's see.
Then the day, so this gives us our day, but we kind of want to put that in.
We need to create a new we can just create a new date, right? The JavaScript date. I think actually the JavaScript library, or you were just thinking, yeah, okay, that should work. But then how do we figure out if we need a 0 in front of the day or not? Do we not need it?
That's an interesting.
I think we can do a new date, like and the JavaScript date just.
What is the format for a new date? Because we could, use a combination.
So you just say new date and then year, comma, month, comma, day.
Yeah, as strings.
No, I think just as numbers.
Okay.
But I guess JavaScript isn't picky in that sense, maybe.
Get rid of this. And we need that one. Cool. So now if I say console log, and rather than day, we want this to be called opening date. And that's what we want to print out here to make sure it's all good. Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. Got every part of it wrong.
What?
We said 2021 and it's given us 2022. We've said the 12th and it's given us the 2nd.
Wait.
We've given it the day.
Thanks to JaviCoder. Have a good day. Okay, wait. They're telling you bollocks. Oh, maybe you have to do null for the time values that we don't insert.
Okay.
No, it should be year, month index, and then day. That should work.
Oh, month index. Is this that silly thing in JavaScript where the index of the month is off by 1, like it's indexed at 0?
Oh, maybe.
And so we're giving it an invalid date because it thinks this is the
value representing beginning with 0 for January and 11 for December. Yes.
silly stuff. All right, let's try submitting that. And we still get the wrong date though. It's still the 2nd of December. Okay, no, that is the right date. That's exactly the right date because that's what we entered. Lovely. Second of Brilliant. December, the 11th month, obviously, 2021. Awesome. And it's giving us 00000. It is giving us GMT plus 11.
So Australian daylight time.
That will probably.
I think that's fine because we store it just as date, right? In the.
Oh yeah, we're cutting off the time. Good call.
Okay, let's see what happens if we do this.
This is wild. All right, so we have a title, we have a description, we have an opening date, we have an author, but this will be author ID. We have an image URL.
But is it author underscore ID?
Good call. we have a content URL. And let's get back our data and our error. Not that I'm not confident that this will totally work, but let's just console log our data. And we may as well do an error just in case. All right. And yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. So let's say that we want to enter in something for day 3. We want the title to be, actually, we can do this properly. We have Aaron.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Superbase.
We just need to add him as an author, right?
Yeah. This is good call. Good call. This is an awesome course that he has put together. I think the first 2 parts are out, but it'll be a series that he's going to continue working on, where he's building out a Tesla charger diary application using React Native and Superbase. Yeah, it's very, very cool. So
probably selling that to Elon soon.
That's right. Twitter.
There he is.
Sweet. So we probably should be able to add an author through our admin interface as well, but
yeah,
another time.
All in good time.
We've got so many days. God, look at all these notifications. So many things rolling in. Did we put the @ symbols in the other ones? I don't think so. And let's put this as a website.
Nice.
Awesome. So now we can use our interface. If we refresh here, I believe his course has already gone live, but let's say it's the 3rd. The course name is this one. The description can be this one. Maybe we should make this a slightly bigger, like multi-line one. But anyway, another time.
Aaron, text area.
Yeah, make it a text area. I wonder if that's supported by Superbase UI. I bet if Johnny was really smart, it would be just an extra thing that you can specify. There we go.
There it is.
Text area. Beautiful.
Input.text area. Lovely. Does it come with Markdown formatting, Johnny?
I'm going to guess not. Look at that. Beautiful. And then we can go get that description again. And we can author image URL. So we might grab that from Twitter.
Oh, but it's the course image, no?
You're so good at this. So good at this. All right. Am I getting really dark? Is my face really dark? I just realized that.
Oh, yeah. Is the sun setting?
It's not setting yet. It's only 10 to 4, but it's definitely not as bright as it was at one point. It's looking pretty overcast. Does this help?
Yeah.
Does that make it much worse?
Now it looks like you're holy. You're a holy man.
I can put on the colors too. If I think that also just looks awful and makes it worse.
Ooh, funky.
Is it making it worse?
No, it's good.
Okay. All right. Let's go with green.
Superbase green.
All right. What are we doing? What are we building? What's going
image
on?
URL. Get the image content
OG
image. Yes, OG image. Nice.
Nice.
Nice. There it is.
And the content URL can be this one.
Oh, and it probably will fail because of the row level security, right?
Superbase is not defined.
Oh, okay.
That's a much easier
Let's start
error.
with that. Yes, Superbase clients. Do we have it?
Yeah,
We
surely.
should have it, right?
Error. New row violates row level security policy.
So
All
maybe
right.
we just add, for now, just add authenticated user can write to it.
That's an excellent idea. Yes, because over here in our policies, yesterday we went through writing a policy to enable reading, but we haven't written a policy to enable inserting. So we can use one of our helpful policy templates again. And I guess we want this to be based on whether they're authenticated. So we can use this one, and we can say enable insert for authenticated users only. This looks like it's just totally what we want. Auth.role equals authenticated.
Perfect.
Save that.
Okay, let's try again.
And if we submit this, look at that. Data is set to an array of our content.
Did it
just
actually
works. It worked. Look at that.
Did the date work?
Oh, let's see, because we could just go to our homepage and have a look. Boom! Look at that.
Ooh.
Tesla, charger diary application, all there. We should probably make these link to the thing that they go to, because that's
Does the
simple.
date look correctly in the database though? I'm still not trusting myself, even though I think.
Have faith.
I think.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Postgres.js is all good.
Done it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, so Postgres.js is really nice at just taking a JavaScript date and making it a Postgres date. That's pretty awesome. Oh, and then maybe should we?
Superbase.js?
Well, under the hood, it's Postgres.js, but yeah, it is a Superbase.js. In the end, it's bundled. Maybe should we make a constraint that the date has to be unique, because we only want one door per day, right?
Idea.
And then we could see if we resubmit it.
So we can just set is unique as a flag on that, which is going to enforce that each one of these
this is so
unique.
good. I love it.
It's beautiful. Was it day 2? Yes. And we'll just do some nonsense, because it will hopefully not let us actually do this.
Hopefully.
Boom. Error. Look at this. Duplicate key values violates unique constraint. Very well done.
Okay. This is like a nice note to end on. Okay, last thing, should we add the link?
The link, yes. So that's a nice easy one. So all we need to do here, we could use a Next.js like link component, but that's just used when we navigate to something like we want to do client-side navigation. So we want to navigate to something else, like another page within the same website. But since we're navigating to an external page, we can just use an A here. We could also set, if we want, we could do that wonderful anti-pattern of setting the target to _blank, which will
then we should also send no referrer and no, what's the security thing? No referrer, no origin, or something like that.
Something like
that. Relation, no opener, no referrer. Is that it?
Relation, no opener, no referrer. Yeah, I can spell. The no opener is needed to enhance the security of your website and prevent other websites from gaining access to your page through the browser session. The no referrer is used to protect referral information from being passed to the target website. This also hides referral traffic in Google Analytics. We'll be destroying their Google Analytics, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think you just want both. So no opener, no referrer in one It should be just in one with separated by a space or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, this one.
Oh man, it is getting cold here. Is it getting cold there, Thor?
No. Well, it is
Does it ever get cold there?
24 degrees Celsius because I've set my air cons to be a
Ah,
lovely
beautiful.
24 degrees Celsius. But
Very,
yes,
very
outside
nice.
it's quite a bit warmer indeed.
Mm,
Hey, Avnish. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but welcome in. We're just towards the end of day 2. We're adding some authentication and inserting some data as an authenticated user, which is sweet.
Yeah.
And then
just
tomorrow, same time, we'll be doing some storage stuff, uploading data into storage, retrieving it from storage. So that will be fun.
That will be fun. What am I doing wrong here? Wrong way around. This one. What am I even doing? All right. And so now when we click this, it opens up an excellent course that you should check out right now. As soon as we finish this stream, go and learn some more about Superbase and learn how to build a SaaS product using Next.js, Superbase, and Stripe. Build yourself something nice that you can use to generate some income while you're taking a relaxing break over the holiday period. All right. And if we click the other one, we go to Aaron's excellent course about React Native and Superbase. Awesome. So I think that is probably a good place to leave it.
That's it. Should we quickly recap what we've done today?
That's a great idea.
I think we've...
Yeah, because we jumped in quite a lot about cookies and things like that. So it would be good to go over a quick recap. So starting at the top of our application, we wanted to listen to any time the auth state changed. So basically, anytime the user signs in or signs out, we want to set an auth cookie on the server side so that anytime we make a request to Superbase, it's sending across that auth cookie so we can determine who the user is. So we do that by calling this set auth cookie API route, which we defined here. And that just calls superbase.auth.api.setCookie, which will just go off and do that stuff for us. And then anywhere that we actually want to know who the user is on the server side, we can use our getUserByCookie method to pull that out again. So anywhere in getServerSide props, getStaticProps would not work. No, it would just be getServerSide props and any of our API routes. We can.
So it needs to run in a server context to be able to read the cookie from the request.
Yeah, that's right. So then we can determine who our user is. So if we want to protect a page, like our admin page, for example, where we only want users who are signed in to actually be able to see that page, we can check if we don't have a user. So if they haven't signed in, then we want to redirect them to the login page so that they can log in properly. If we do have a user, then we can render out this beautiful admin page that we built out. So that was the majority of what we spent our time doing in this stream. And I think we also built this login page. So we also set up authentication with GitHub. And in order to do that, we needed to step through, I don't have it open anymore, but creating an OAuth application in GitHub and then setting the credentials in Superbase, the Superbase auth settings. Was there anything else we went through?
No, I think we added the link to our tiles so we can actually link off to the courses. And that's it. Yeah, tomorrow we'll dive into some storage stuff. And until then, thanks for tuning in. Or if you're watching the recording, thanks for tuning in to the recording. And we will see you on the interwebs.
Right. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.